Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Dragon's Tome. We're going to go through the Dragon magazine from 1 to 100. With me is my... Oh, Rob doesn't care for my 1 to 100 crack. With me are my co-hosts through thick and thin, starting with Rob. Say hi, Rob.
I'm below you. Hi.
Oh, Jesus.
That's funny that she's below you. He's above you.
Oh. Okay. Well, Pat, you gotta step up. He's setting the Barbie high for what passes the comedy. So, introduce yourself.
My name's Chopper.
Chopper. Okay.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
That's all he's got.
Because if he's below you, I'm above you. You can't see what's happening down here.
He's to your
don't know.
left.
Yep.
Oh, he just smacked you. Other way, Jack. Other way.
Oh. I don't know this technology.
American left.
Only 2 countries in the world use that direction for left.
Yeah, it's weird.
So, anyways, we are doing episode 39. We're going to go up here for $3 still. We're still doing the $3 episode, $3 issues. For me, it's now just Dragon. The is gone. And I like, now that they've gone back to the last few issues didn't have it, putting a couple of minutes in there. I like the layout a little bit more, and framed, and the art is. I like it. What do you
I like it because it's very tapestry-like.
Yeah, I couldn't even describe it. I in the show notes I just put X because I had no idea what this is. It's Swinston.
It's very tapestry, like you would see on a tapestry.
Is that dragon making out with a lizard? Or I mean a dragon? Or is that dragon making out with a lion, I should say?
Yeah, I think they're talking.
Or they're sniffing each other?
Yeah, they're doing the wild animal. Are we friends or are we going to fight?
Because I think the lion is his companion, and she's talking to him telepathically, and
or trying to dominate him telepathically.
Yeah,
I can't
maybe
tell.
She's command or charm person. He's got a dead duck or something in his hand.
Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to say. Is he so nature centric that he uses animals as weapons? Has he made himself a duck sword?
If he's got a familiar, I assume he's a ranger.
Well, I think the familiar is that rabbit that's hiding out in the hole of the tree. He's been like, "Go get it, buddy."
Yeah, I don't want to be too crude, but what is she doing with her hand?
Oh
yeah,
that's where
she's holding.
That's where the pommel is.
Yeah,
of the saddle.
Saddle pommel
that I don't see anywhere else other than.
It's the joystick. So she's controlling the dragon with the joystick.
Yeah, there's no strap to go in the bottom. I'm not sure about that, Jack. I think you're right.
It's built into the dragon, the joystick.
Well, let's agree to disagree. This isn't a piece of erotic fiction, and we'll just move along. So we usually start with my boy Rob doing the rumbling of the dragon.
This is quick.
You're my boy Rob. Oh, we need to look at the masthead. You need to look at the masthead.
Oh, yes, we wanted to double-check the masthead because there has been some shakeups.
Dragon is published monthly by Dragon Publishing.
A division of TSR.
Yeah, it still says division, so it's its own company, but it's still a division of TSR, so odd. Yep. Dragon Rumbles this week, it's just saying the 5th publishing volume starts, and they now have a trash 80 in their offices, so they're going to have more computer stuff, supposedly. That's all it is. I'm telling you. I don't know. We might have to stop doing Dragon Rumbles unless it's interesting, because Jake he's no Tim. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe that's why he quit, because they didn't want Jake stirring the pot.
Yeah, it's true. He did mention that. So that's all I got, Jack. You can continue on.
A fax, and only the fax edict came down, and Tim was like, "No, I need the sass. I need the Ricky Lake energy the daytime talk show Jenny Jones situation, and
That's why he only could find that at Reader's Digest, so that's where he is now.
And so Jake Jacket said, I can do it. I can be your Phil Donahue.
Yeah. There you go.
Caller?
Okay. All those references. So then let's go to Chopper. What do you got for us?
Let's go to page DS.
Speak English.
10.
Oh,
this is mine. I think it's my only one, too.
Jesus. Yeah, that's mine, too.
Oh, all right. So...
Anti-Paladins.
Let's go to page 18.
No, it's all right. We can go through.
Yeah, we'll do it. I think there's enough because this is multiple pages.
Yeah, I mean,
to get into.
I'm just pointing out here that I've played around with it today, and it's a series of charts that really allows you to create a pretty badass villain for your party to hunt or cross swords with, and I kind of dug it. I was like, wow, you could really make yourself a powerful one villain kind of guy with these charts if you roll really well / fudge your rolls.
A full mustache twirling evil big bad for a campaign.
Yep.
That works within the mechanics. Not that the players can use those mechanics in this same way, but that's neither here nor there. It's a very interesting. And something that I think sticks around. Like, this is probably a mind blowing, but it is something that becomes almost like a staple.
Like how they do the monster or the villains, you mean? Or
No, the thought of the anti-paladin being the villain, something that strong. But
the thing is, this anti-paladin is more of a opposite of a paladin instead of being an evil version of a paladin, because he's chaotic evil and he's all about causing disease, which I think is kind of cool, and causing wounds, and thief backstabbing, and using poisons. Like, it's much different than the actual anti-paladin we get later, which is, and also it's an NPC, which I thought was interesting, where they don't want to start introducing character classes or new character classes.
Well, they don't want to start to bring in the evil character.
Well, people had evil characters before this. It's just, I think they want to stick with D&D now, don't want to mess with it, because eventually we get things like, illusionists and stuff that get added in, right? But I think they're staying away from it for now.
Yes, but I think that this as a concept goes like forever. It becomes like a...
Well, eventually it's a player character. You can play as anti-paladins. I like the idea of multi-state poisons, where they focus on the artful use of poisons, they say. So the multi-state poisons, where it's like each ingredient isn't poisonous, but when you add them all together, it's poisonous. Like, it's kind of neat things like that in there. But yeah, it's interesting. I thought it was kind of cool. But I do find it's not really what an anti-paladin ends up being. That's the thing. Anti-paladins are usually lawful evil, and just the evil version of a paladin, not literally an anti-paladin, which is like the opposite of a paladin.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It sounds like, well, that's the same thing. No, evil paladin is not the same as a paladin that is the opposite of what a paladin is. Yeah, because this guy's chaotic evil. And I like how they talk about you can have him in your group, but he'll just be like always trying to undermine the group at every turn. Like, you can hire him as a follower and stuff, but it's a long article too. Oh yeah, it tells you what spells that you'd have, that how they are different. What all everything's reversed, not reversed, but it's a very well done article. I enjoyed it. Good one, Pat. Good choice. Good one. Stole all article. So I suppose it's my turn, and we're gonna scamper on over to 36, PDF 36, 34 on the. This is my second one. Thanks for taking all my articles.
This is also one of mine articles too.
This might be
another short episode.
I have a few quick hits, but yeah.
I also have another article though.
But this is,
Okay, well,
explain what it is, Jack.
it is called Good Hits and Bad Misses, and it addresses the critical hit that everyone, associates with D&D. And I don't know if it was ever official that there was a fumble for one.
I don't think in AD&D critical hits and fumbles were part of the combat system originally.
Not originally.
I know,
but eventually
we did it, and I don't know if it ever made it into it.
It made it in second edition. I know it made it into second edition, but the first edition of A&D didn't have it. So that's one of the reasons why I picked this, Ardo, because it was a nice comprehensive and the beginnings of the critical hit / fumble.
Well, it sounds like it kind of was like a house rule. Like everybody played it that way anyways. That's kind of...
Yeah.
But the thing is, he doesn't understand what natural 1s and natural 20s mean. He's like, well, it'll never be a 1 because you always get bonuses. It's like, no, it's a natural 1, retard.
Yeah, he didn't get that. I saw that too.
Well, what he said was you'll get pushback because a high-level character with, he would never do that. And he uses like some math and stuff to say like, well, of course not. But in the game, it's fun because of all of your adjustments.
The problem is I don't think he understands what's that?
Not
even the rule cool. It's the Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
It's going to happen to you. Even if you're the best people, still fumble. But
even the most best athletes trip.
I do like these critical hit tables, though. I think they're pretty cool.
That's what. Yeah, I said it was a very nice, comprehensive critical hit table that even divided up into different types of weapons
and different, different effects. Like sometimes you can kill people outright, like with a critical success. Which I guess back in the day, also most creatures had very low hit points, anyways. So you're probably fighting hundreds of them. I wouldn't use some of these if you're fighting your boss monster and you happen to roll a 20 and then roll a 95. Yeah. It's abdominal injury, instant death. Well, I just built this whole mission up, and you happen to roll a 20 and happen to roll that, and now he's dead in one hit.
Yeah. Or better yet, skull crushed, and he doesn't have a helmet on.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's certain things.
So I see what he was trying to do, and he addresses some of the questions, but also I think he misses the mark on why fumbles and crits are fun, and he misses the mark on how to make it happen. I don't need this many charts. I don't need this. I think
it's a fun novelty.
I think the charts are for if you're like, I'm not sure what happens, I'll just roll in the chart. But sometimes you're like, oh, I want this to happen, or what's going to happen. But in Jack, in your system, I think your way you do criticals and like you can get to a critical success and yet still have a fumble, which is fun because you roll 2 different dice, which is hilarious. So I think I was trying to kill a bird or something in one of yours, and I critically successful. I just destroyed him, but then I also critically failed. So I whipped my sword or broke. I can't remember what I did. I got it stuck somewhere. I think. I like how you can do both. Your system it's fun that way where it's just you can succeed and yet still succeed poorly.
You can succeed poorly.
Yeah, I think the new Star Wars role playing game does something like that, where you can do enough good things, but if your bad thing, you can do enough good things to succeed, but if your bad things
pull it back
are higher than your good things, something bad also happens.
Yeah, it's kind of what Jack says, but he just rolls 2 dice, which is nice.
Well, I think litigation is going to be in order.
Well, this sounds like there's a lot more bonuses and stuff involved, but
yeah, it's a calculated number. It's not a dice roll.
Jack has D12s, I think, isn't it, Jack? Because you decided nobody uses D12s, and it's like one set's just for crits and success and failures. So if you roll a 1 or a 12, and the other one's actually the die roll you need to hit. So it's just like a random die, and I think things modify that. Not necessarily a 1 or a 12 too, right? Like if you have some curses and stuff, it could end up being higher and things like that. But anyways, fun times.
Yeah.
Because
Carl here, I think he saw an issue, but he just didn't quite hit for my likings what the way to explain it, nor the way to address it. But
yeah,
but
as
anyways,
charts, I love rolling on charts.
I do too.
Yeah. So let's go back to you, Rob. What do you have anything other than the two articles we all seem to have glommed onto?
Let's go to page 42. Electric Eye.
42.
This is, I was complaining about last week about this, but this is where I said, oh no, this still isn't where I said, that's next week. This is all the different, Electric Eye, it's all the different computer terms.
Oh, it's the terminology, yeah.
And
like a glossary of terms for...
Yeah, which back then you've definitely needed, but now it's most of them are the same, but some of them have drifted, like address. It does mean things on your computer, but mostly when you think address, you're thinking internet. And there's a few other things which are funny, like they only talk about K's and M's for memory, like they don't talk about,
exactly.
I don't think it's M's. I think isn't it? It's like kilobytes and bytes. I think
there's no more PROM.
No, yeah, PROM. I remember PROM too. Yeah, yeah. There's certain things that just and paper tape, things like that.
Yeah,
and there's
cassette.
Like even describing what a crash is or what a bug is, like that's.
Even there's no such thing as CRT anymore.
No, well, yeah, not really. I think probably some.
No, I don't think any cathode ray tubes are made anymore for TVs.
No, not. We are plasma, LCD, LE. Like I think we're 4 generations away from the old CRTs.
But it is interesting, some of the stuff that is similar, and yet there's some that are just like, no, that's not what it means anymore. Baud. Remember when it mattered what your baud of your modem was?
Yeah.
Baud.
Yeah. Yep.
Or you having to use an assembler?
2400 or 1440. 1440 was, no, 28.8 was the highest.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the word modem, it really isn't. Like it says, oh, for connecting to a telephone. It's like, no. We don't even barely use modems anymore.
Imagine if this Mark Hero was, dragged from his grave. I'm sure he's dead now.
It was only 1980. It wasn't that long ago.
And sat down in front of just what we're using just to make a dopey video that no one watches. He would lose his mind. He would lose his mind.
Yeah, it is funny. Anyways, that was my quick one.
Okay. Patrick, what do you got?
So we did the Anti-Paladin, we did the good hit, so my last one is page 18.
18.
Oh yeah, this is what we were talking about before.
Yeah, and so I basically pointed this out again. Seems like every magazine is tied into the G&T door that's having fun for me. I just kind of pointed out the irony that this magazine states, "Oh yes, we want women, and why not? And they should have their day in the sun." Blah blah blah, and then the irony that is the Gygax legend,
This was my last article because I had said in the future, I think 2 weeks ago, I said, wait, there's going to be an article addressing it was a letter to the magazine where a woman said she didn't feel represented in myths and in the artwork, and then this is a discussion detailing some of the women that had some bad things but also good things, and it's interesting.
I always think it comes down to how bad or good your GM is. If you have a terrible GM, yeah, you're going to have a terrible time. That's all it is.
Yeah.
A lot of this, they're saying, your GM, had people get pregnant and stuff like that. It's like, well, guess what? People are just trying to play a game here, guys.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah. But,
it goes the other way, though. I've had GMs, too, where their girlfriend was playing, and they just fudged everything for the girlfriend because they obviously wanted to be on her good side. I've had that too. But I think generally it's how good your GM is. If they're a good GM, none of this matters because they'll treat you like a person and they'll treat you like you should be.
Yeah,
treated.
and these are all many articles written by several different women.
Yeah, and hopefully it was the kids reading this, like the teenagers or whatever, even some of the adults. Maybe this is a wake up call to be like, oh, I don't want to be a dick like that. Maybe I should be better for this, or
Yeah, I mean,
or
this day and
more
age,
inclusive, right? Like
this day and age, right? I mean, it's common sense. I mean, but then, like I said, the stuff that pretty much destroyed the comeback at TSR.
Yeah.
And
stupid things, yeah.
And the irony that this article is in this magazine,
yeah,
it wasn't lost on me.
Yeah.
It was interesting to me just see what bothered the women that were in this article, and one woman was like, well, I don't like the miniatures. They were all scantily clad miniatures that someone had at the table, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess so. Like, if he purposely brought those and displayed them for no reason, yeah, that's weird, but he didn't sculpt them.
Yeah, once again, it's the GM, right? Like, or whoever did it.
Yeah, and then but some of the other ones were like, oh yeah, I like to play hack and slash. I like to do this. So it was just a multiple viewpoints. Again, a discussion that today you wouldn't have. I don't think.
Unfortunately, I think you do need to have it for some people. Like Pat's saying, it's still coming up for the old school kind of people. I think there's a whole new generation of that. This doesn't even come into their brains. Like, there's so many games written by women and focused on them, or also inclusive. Like, every big like online plaything, it's almost equal men and women in the games, and like I think it's like in certain dark corners of the internet and in some game stores, unfortunately, it still needs to be addressed. But I think mostly
there's still dicks. You would think we are, but there's still a few YouTube guys out there that are still very anti-women in gaming.
Makes no sense. It's just so stupid.
Yeah. Because remember that one year at Gen Con when the guy got punched in the face?
No, he got stabbed. Didn't he get stabbed with a protractor or something stupid? No, a pen. He got stabbed with a pen.
From what I read, he just never got punched. He just got punched in the face.
Well, yeah. If it's the same guy I'm thinking about, he made like completely unrelated YouTube videos to role-playing games, but he happened to be there, and this guy who is mentally ill, he's just got up and punched him, and he had
well, he had the booth next to us. And then he got kicked out too. And he was at a bar afterwards, and the drinking was not good, and he went through I forget, this guy just walked in, hey, I'm just going to have a drink.
No,
and this...
you're making it sound like this guy's a good guy. He's not, Jack. This guy was like a bad person. Like, he was like...
The guy that got punched in the face
girls' drinks, and... Yeah. There was some rape charges against him and things like that. Like, he wasn't a good
I'm thinking
person.
of a different... No, I'm thinking of a whole different instance then.
And the guy that punched him in the face was also not in the right either, but he's also a bit crazy too, and he just walked up, sucker punched. I mean, I'm not a big fan of sucker punching anyone.
But some people need to be punched in the face, which is fine. But they both got thrown to the con, which is fine.
But my point is that we still have people like that, and they still have a loud platform. Yeah.
That's the internet, right?
Unfortunately. Yeah. The thing is, when geek culture becomes the mainstream's full of complete arseholes, and so that's what we have to deal with.
And back then, in the 80s here, it wasn't about being an arsehole. It was about being awkward and probably not having much interaction with females and not knowing how to act around them. I think that's a lot more with it back then. Like, it's not like, these guys weren't doing it maliciously, I don't think. I think they were just ignorant. Like, didn't know how to act around a female. Didn't realize what they were doing. Or, I guess there always is the jerk who did realize what he was doing, but I think mostly it's ignorance. Anyways, that's a long topic about all this stuff.
Yeah, we can talk about that forever. So.
We're not qualified to address.
The proper answer is just don't be that way.
Don't be a dick.
Yes. But my point being that this is a discussion, a very interesting civil discussion about where adults could have a conversation. Today, I don't think you can have that. There's extremists that would ride this
people canceled and things, or there'd be doxing of people's houses. That happens all, like in the
Well,
game,
that's the
especially
thing.
in the video game industry. It's terrible. Like there's
Yeah,
people
well-
get like stalked, and
Yeah.
it's a bad.
Jack
bad
said
scene.
it all. There's no more discussion. There's no more debates. It's just
Getting
My
punched in,
my way or my way, and you're wrong.
getting punched in the face in
And
a bar.
because
by
we
somebody
don't
you don't know.
see eye to eye, I have to hate you.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, that's it from my articles. Rob, do you have one more?
I do have one on page 43. It's Bizarre the Bizarre. I just want to say that I want a Lariel's Storm Armor. It is the coolest thing ever. It's +2 armor, which is nice, and it does not conduct electricity, and it makes you immune to things like Fireball, Ice Storm, and Cone of Cold. Like I could have used this in some of the games I played, mostly from the fire, but it's a really nice pair of armor. But you have to be careful. If you get hit with cold and hot at the same time, it could shatter. So that's the only thing like that would ever happen. But sometimes there's some cool magic items in the Bizarre the Bizarre.
I think Ed Greenwood was visualizing, say carbon fiber.
Maybe. Yeah.
That Ed Greenwood was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
He was. He did a lot of these sections.
We should try and get him on the show.
He's probably dead.
No, he's still alive. There's a guy who does.
It's a running joke. Every time anybody mentions it.
Oh, he's probably dead.
we say
I
that he's
can
back from the
actually
grave,
say he's
or
been alive because there's a fan of the show who keeps linking me to a live stream, like a Twitch, and Ed's part of that.
Oh, cool.
Now, first of all, come on, a fan of the show, like
Yeah.
this show.
Yeah, he sent it to me. It literally said, "I love the Dragon's Tome. You should, if you like old school
You
D&D."
probably should have mentioned this to Jack. Jack all of a sudden is going to change his demeanor now to realize there's people watching.
People are watching.
We put this on the internet.
Oh my!
So I'm not saying it were thousands of years, but people are starting to come around.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well,
So I don't have any more articles. Anybody have any more articles?
I really don't, but I am going to make a quick mention, like you guys do, on page 22.
Yes.
Leomund's tiny hut started from scratch by our friend Leonard.
Finally has a masthead, by the way. You can tell what article you're looking at, which I like.
Yeah. So Mr. Leonard talks about how to create a campaign from scratch. And as Mr. Lakovka is very high up in the D&D world, I think this is kind of the worst way to start your campaign.
see, at first I was all on board, and then I was like, okay, no, this is not. There's nothing intuitive.
This is so much to do that doesn't do anything with creating a campaign. Like, why do you need to create the party first? You don't need to create the party first.
No, doesn't. Your campaign
No.
should not be dependent on what's. Well, I guess if you got a lot of thieving to do in your thing, you should have a thief. You know.
Yeah, but that's your party should understand what's going on, and they should create themselves accordingly.
My thought
If
was,
you tell the story correctly, if you introduce the campaign in the right
Or
sense.
have options. You don't have to. You can break down the store instead of
Yeah.
pick locking. You know, like that. Have options.
Exactly.
my thought was that create the party first, and then as a modern day mindset. Oh, well, then you can seed their backstory into the campaign. Like I thought that's what they're going to do. Oh, well, there's two thieves in the thing. Well, maybe they're from the same guild or something. I thought that's what was going to happen.
It
And
was.
by about midway through the article, I was like, no, that's not what's going on here at all.
No, and then it just gets a little more crazy after that. Like, how many magic items you need to put in the thing? I mean, that's something you shouldn't even worry about.
You shouldn't have any magic items to start with.
Yeah, for the first couple games, you shouldn't have any magic items.
Yep. Or if you think it's going to be important to the game, you have it seeded in the game where they find it or can buy it.
And then there's organized resistance. What are we putting a friggin' rebel camp in there? So I was like, Leonard, very much respected, but this is the worst way to do a campaign.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. Then I think, is that it? I've asked Rob. I'm done. Pat's
got
done.
ads.
Pretty much done. I got no ads.
So yeah, let's move on to the ads. Since we have people watching, As if we do an ad break? Is that what we do now that this is a real show?
This is the ad break right here.
This is the ad break.
Page 34.
Okay.
World of Greyhawk miniatures. We've been talking about this game, and here's a list of all the miniatures they have available from Fantasy Figures by Minifigs.
And let me just point out that is the logo, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, that shows up on the gold boxes later on.
Yes. That's right. Yeah, so it's a list of all they have 60 miniatures right now, I guess. And, yeah.
But they don't have that Kung Fu Dragon that we loved so much in the beginning.
No.
He'll never show his face again, unfortunately.
No, that was only a couple of years earlier, but I think the technology and what was expected of miniatures
the sculpting has just gotten leaps and bounds ahead. Like they're still not great, but they're way better than they were.
Now I'm wondering if this is just for Greyhawk as companions for the release of it, so that you could have figures that match your characters or whatnot, or there was talk of the Mass Combat
I think
game,
this is leading into it, because Minifigs is the one who's making that Mass Combat game, so I think this is like the ground. Here, let's put a bunch of miniatures out. Once you buy a bunch of these miniatures, they're expensive though. Have you seen the, 3 for $4? That's not cheap.
No,
back then,
a buck a miniature.
Now it's crazy cheap, but back then it's not cheap. So I think it's they're high-end miniatures, and you're paying accordingly. That was my only ad. Anybody else got an ad?
Okay, I have one, but Pat, what's?
I do not have an ad.
Then we will finish up with me on page 66 of the PDF.
I went straight there because I knew where Jack was going.
Okay.
Hey, it's different this time. I bet that page would be cool if it was upright.
It's a different ad, and it's upside down too. So now we've really determined there's something afoot. Like, come on.
I can read Cthulhu.
Yes, and the gist of it is that there was a foundation that they were going to donate money to from the sales of their product. So, yes, the Viking Fund, I think it was called, and it is upside down.
Yeah,
and we don't know why.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
So again, the upside down ad watch is still in effect, and I thank everyone for. And you know what? Now that I know there's people watching, I've been doing this bit for months, and I don't know if it's as funny as, like, it's funny for me to subject you guys to.
Yeah.
Like, for me to do this, and I know Rob hates it, and for me to have done it this time, now I know that there's probably other people watching. I have to rethink. I got some thinking to do.
Uh-huh.
I've got some thinking to do.
I dig it. Keep it up.
Okay, well then it looks like that is the last of what we need to take care of on this episode. Thank you everyone for following us along on issue 39 of Dragon Magazine, and I suppose you'll all come back next week when we do number 40.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Yes.
Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.